The Crypt interviews in association with Mayo Leisure Point Castle Bar.
You listen to The Crypt, and today it's the debut of my new monthly segment, The Crypt's Travelgram, which will see me review unique attractions to visit throughout Ireland. My first trip was to Titanic Belfast, and to date, this fantastic attraction has welcomed over 2 million visitors from more than 145 countries. And joining me on the show now is Titanic Belfast PR and Communications Executive, Sarah Hamilton Cardy. So you're very welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Well, firstly, Sarah, Titanic Belfast is situated in the Titanic Quarter, so can you tell me about the area and its development?
Yes, well, Titanic Quarter is actually where Titanic was built. It was built in the shipyards of Holland and Woods. And basically, Titanic Quarter is the area in which Titanic was built and takes its inspiration from that. It's one of Europe's largest regeneration projects of an area beside the sea. It's a harbour development. So we've got loads of exciting things. We have got the SSE Arena, we have W5, we have Nomadic, and we have HLS Caroline coming on board soon. We also have a lot of businesses and people can come work and relax and live here. So it's an exciting place to be in Belfast.
Well, I have to say, Sarah, Titanic Belfast surpassed all my expectations. I had the most amazing time. I brought my little girl with me who's 10, and it's so child friendly. She enjoyed it just as much as I did. And there's so many sections that you go through. So I'm going to start off with when you go in first in the main hall, you have the Titanic gift shop where you can go and get loads of souvenirs. And just before you start the tour, they take your photograph, which at the end you can collect, and you're photoshopped into various pictures of the Titanic in the background, which was an amazing thing to bring home. And then at the start, as I said, the first place you go to is Boomtown Belfast. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, well, Boomtown Belfast gives you an idea of what Belfast was like when the Titanic was getting built. It was the fastest growing city in the British Empire at the time. It had the linen, ropeworks and shipbuilding industries, and it really shows the excitement and diversity and dynamicism of Belfast at the time. So it just captures that for guests as they enter.
And then after that, you moved on to the shipyard, which was one of my favourite spots.
I'm sure your little girl loved it too.
Yeah, she got very excited.
I'm sure the shipyard shows what it was like for people at the time working in the shipyards, and shows really how Titanic was built. So you come in and you're able to see the part of the Arrow gantry, and it is a replica, but it's only a quarter of the height. So you're able to go up the Arrow gantry and you should be able to see what the men would have climbed. Then you go in and see pictures of what it was like when people were building Titanic. And then there is also the shipyard ride. So the shipyard ride takes you on a journey, so you can really see what life in the shipyard was like. You can hear the noises of people banging in rivets. You can feel the heat of the melting metal. You can also get a scale of what they were building. You also would get to hear their pride in working in the biggest shipyard in the world.
Well, that part was one of my favourites. That's something we don't think about when we think Titanic. You think of the tragedy itself, but what the men went through building that ship was astonishing. Because one of the tour guides was saying, first of all, when we were looking down over the gantry, as you said, it's a quarter of the height. You look down there, I'll tell you get the heebie-jeebies. It's so high up. And just to think, they were way, way higher than that. And also, the tour guide was saying that sometimes they'd just be standing on one little plank of wood, no safety harnesses, no nothing. And 8 men lost their lives building that ship. And that's something people don't really think about. So I think that's a fantastic part of the tour.
Yes, no, definitely. And it shows for local people as well. They love to see what their grandparents and relatives used to do when they were involved in the shipyard. So it's a really nice part of the galleries.
And as you mentioned there, we had the shipyard ride, which is brilliant. And my little girl, I'll tell you, that was her favourite part of the whole thing. But one of the things I thought was really, really good that you do, when you're getting into the car, they ask you where you're from. So if you're German or French, they put the recordings into your language so you can sit and enjoy it.
Yes, they do. And we also have audio guides for different languages. We actually have one in Irish as well, so people can listen in their preferred language going through the galleries.
Fantastic. And then the heat you felt, It's unbelievable to think people worked in those conditions. Like, you're just going by for a few seconds. To think of being in that all day.
That's very true. Very true.
Then, after the shipyard, then we moved on to the launch.
Yes. So the launch gallery, as you go in, you learn the story that Titanic launched from the slipways, which you actually get a panoramic view of, launched from there in 62 seconds. Over 100,000 people came to Belfast from overseas to see Titanic launch. If you look out and you can see where Titanic sat, there's an outline, and you can look out the window and you'll be able to see the deck plan of Titanic. So there's benches on the slipways, and that's actually where you would have been sitting on the promenade deck of Titanic. You can see circles, which are the funnels, and you also look out onto our there's different poles coming up from, and that represents the gantry and the scaffolding that the men climbed. Yet again, it would have been 4 times the height, but it just shows you where Titanic was.
Another part I absolutely loved was the fish out.
Yes, I think this has to be my favourite.
Yeah.
So it's when you go in and you're able to see what the luxury that Titanic offered. Titanic was different from any other ship. First class on Titanic was hotel standard, so it was the first time ever that a ship had hotel standard cabins. Second class was the same as first class on any other ship, and third class was the same as second class. So you learn about the furnishings, you learn about the different things that really brought just class to the ships. There's also a 3D interactive room, which takes you from the engine room all the way up to from third class up to first class dining room, the staircase, and up onto the captain's quarters. So it is a really interesting part of the museum. We also have then you go on and you'll be able to see the stops of Titanic. So there is Belfast, Southampton, Cherbourg, and then Cove, and it shows you photographs of Titanic in these locations. Then you're literally transported onto the deck of Titanic. So this is where you go on board. You're able to hear the sea. You're able to feel the railings vibrate because of the engines, and you're able to see letters that were on board Titanic, written on board Titanic, and a menu that was of the first class for the first class lunch.
As you said there, the part where you're brought on the interactive tour up from the deck up to the top of the ship, those screens are humongous. You've 3 screens around you. You've one to the front and one either side of you. You actually feel like you're really standing in the middle of it. You kind of get dizzy as you're moving up the decks, and there was a man roaring laughing at me because as soon as we got up to the staircase and the clock, and I go, "Oh, that's where Jack met Rose," and then he started roaring, roaring laughing beside me. So that's my second favourite spot. Then we moved on then to the maiden voyage.
Yes, the maiden voyage was the deck of Titanic. That's where you get the pictures of the photographs, so you're able to see where the different stops, and then also how it would have been on board the first journey.
And then when we moved on to the sinking, I have to say I got so sad in this part. You have it done so well.
You do get the chills. You're able to hear stories from the survivors who actually explain what happened on the night. And it's a very emotive gallery, and I think it is done well and done respectively. And you also get to hear different voices of the survivors and hear different stories of those who didn't survive as well.
Oh, and it's so, because you're standing there and you're watching the ship sinking, and you can hear people saying what they seen from the lifeboats, and there was no moon. All you could see was a sky full of stars. And when you look above you, there's all lights lit up, so you feel like you're actually looking up at the stars like they did. I absolutely love that part.
Well, I'm glad. It tells the story.
And then we moved on then to the aftermath.
Yes, so the aftermath, obviously with Titanic being such a tragedy, it was used to redefine history in terms of safety. But it also shows, in our gallery, it kind of goes through the inquiries that took place. We also have one of the most expensive artefacts in the world, Titanic artefacts in the world, which is actually the inquiry plan that was used to explain to people like you and I what happened to the ship without technical language, so people could point out what happened in the sinking to explain it.
And after that then we had Myths and Reality. Now as you were walking down into that, you had the big screen and Celine Dion was playing.
Yes,
that kind of just finishes you off, because you're after going through the sinking and you're really upset at that point thinking all they went through, and then you come down the stairs and you hear that song, and I got a lump in my throat, I have to say, when I come down the stairs to that area.
Well, it basically goes through every decade there was a Titanic movie made, and it's one of the most written about subjects in the world, so it really just examines those myths and legends and what Titanic means today in popular culture.
And then finally, your last spot was Titanic Beneath and Ocean Exploration Centre. Loved this part.
Yes, it is definitely very interesting. So you get obviously it took a long time to find Titanic. So when you come out of the Myths and Legends gallery, you're faced with Robert Ballard, the man who discovered Titanic, and then you're into our glass floor and our cinema room. Basically, it shows about exploring the wreck and on the huge projection screen. So you're able to look as a bird's eye view of where the Titanic would be today. On our pod, you're allowed to find out more about the wreckage, and there's also videos that show you different things, like, for example, Captain Smith's bathtub and different things. So it explains it all to you.
It's amazing seeing that. It really is. And you mentioned the glass floor there. That was so funny because it is actually so realistic. I would not step out onto it. I was at the edge. And my little girl was running out going, "Mammy, come on." And I said, "No, I can't, Kaylin," because you really felt you were looking down into the ocean and I couldn't step out.
You do indeed.
Well then, the centre itself isn't the only attraction to visit in the quarter. You mentioned there the Nomadic, and there's a few other spots as well.
Yes, well, the SS Nomadic is actually included on our ticket, so that after Titanic Belfast you can go over to SS Nomadic. It's the last remaining White Star Line and the biggest Titanic artefact in the world. It was famous as a tender ship for Titanic, so passengers like Molly Brown from the film actually went on board Nomadic. She's a quarter of her size in every dimension, and guests, when they go on board, get to marvel at the original ornate doors, panels, plasterwork, staircases that greeted first class and second class passengers on board. They also get to learn about her history. So she didn't end with Titanic, but she actually served in First World War and Second World War, and actually spent time as a nightclub and restaurant beside the Eiffel Tower. So really she's got a checkered history, and it's fascinating. So it's a real treasure trove for anyone who is up in Belfast. Really should visit Nomadic as well. In terms of other things in the quarter, we have got HMS Caroline, so that's launching later on this year. And obviously that's a Navy ship, and it's got a significant history in the Battle of Jutland, so we're very excited about that. We also have Titanic Exhibition Centre, so at certain times of the year it has different events on, so consumer events, so check out their website to see what's coming up there. And then we have the SSE Arena, so there's things like the Belfast Giants that play there on a relevant frequent basis really, and then there's W5 as well for children who are interested in science.
W5 is brilliant. We went there. Kaylin absolutely loved it. And we only wished we'd more time. You'd need the whole day going around W5 because there's so much in it.
Yes, no, that's true.
Fantastic.
That's true.
And then, of course, the Nomadic, as you mentioned. It's so poignant walking on those decks and to think they're the same decks that those passengers, were on, and so many hopes and dreams of a new life and not knowing what was ahead of them. It really gets to you. It's a fantastic ship.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think sometimes it could be overlooked, but I think now with its ticket with Titanic Belfast that people really, really get to actually enjoy that real heritage. It's just you just can't put it into words. It's a fabulous piece of living history. Another
piece of the ship we great fun in was where you can dress up. So we were...
Definitely.
We were dressing up and taking pictures.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. So you get to dress up either as a soldier or a first-class passenger. She was also obviously a tender ship for the Queen Elizabeth and other ships like that. So she actually had people like Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton on board. So there's definitely a few costumes you can try on.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then, of course, as well, you do the family trail for kids. That's really good.
Yeah, so during our bank holiday times and popular times, we have a family trail on. So we'll have mascots around the building. So this it ranges from our captain to our first class lady, so that children can meet them. And then we also have our Easter trail. We had our Easter trail on, but then we also have our family trail, which tells the story to children through characters. For example, the captain, and allows them to go through the galleries, spotting them, and tells them the story in a way that they can understand.
Yeah, it's really, really good. My little girl absolutely loved that Parish bit. Then also, I believe people can hold events there and even weddings at Titanic Belfast.
Yes, so since we opened, we've had over 1,000 events at Titanic Belfast, so including from things from BBC Sports Personality of the Year, red carpet event, to bespoke weddings. Really, it's in a very flexible venue, and Nomadic as well is a wedding venue.
Well, I tell you, if I could go back to getting married again, I would have my wedding there, because I seen the big room where you actually have the staircase. It's like the one on the ship.
Yes, our Titanic Titanic suite has that in it. So for those who are not going to a wedding or an event, you can come along to Sunday afternoon tea at Titanic Belfast. So afternoon tea is inspired by what was served on Titanic, and it's luxurious and really one for people to come and experience. So if you're up for the day and want to do the galleries, I would suggest, and you're up on a Sunday, I'd definitely say book in for afternoon tea as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what events have you got coming up on the calendar in the coming months?
Well, we have our night to remember. So this is obviously a poignant night, and this marks the sinking of the galleries. So you go round and you interact with characters who would have seen the sinking firsthand, and then we also have a service on the slipways on that night, on the 14th. So it's very poignant. And then we'll also have family trails throughout bank holidays throughout the summer. So we're looking forward to that. And our exciting summer exhibition will be soon launched, or soon announced, and it'll be launched towards the end of June.
Well, people can purchase tickets online at titanicbelfast.com. Do you recommend pre-booking for a visit?
As we go into high season and during the summer, and we're starting to rack up now our bank holiday periods, yes, we do advise booking online. So it just ensures, especially if you're travelling, that you have your ticket and it's all secured.
Excellent. And then finally, Sarah, before I let you go, at the moment you guys are looking for a junior explorer. So could you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we are indeed. We are looking for a junior explorer. So they have to be under the age of 12 and over the age of 5. They have to have a nose for the story. They have to be inquisitive and interested in either Belfast, the Titanic, or Under the Sea. So basically what we would like them to do is tell us what they think about Titanic Belfast. So they will get to see our offering, and they'll be able to bring along their family and friends, and they will also get to see not just Titanic Belfast and Nomadic, but also our summer exhibition and our Christmas experience. So they'll be one of the first to experience it, and then their view will get published on our website. So we're very excited about that. That's
a brilliant idea.
Yes, I know. We can't wait. We've got about 200 entries so far, and it was only launched last week. So if anyone would like to take part, if they want to get on to www.titanicbelfast.com and fill out the entry form, we'll be delighted to hear from you.
Excellent. And now, I know I said that was the last question, but it's just something you mentioned there. The Christmas experience, what's that like?
Well, it's basically a street scene where children come along and experience a period Christmas. So they get to do arts and crafts, they get to go to the cinema, and they get to do a lot of different things and get stories told to them, and then they go through to see Father Christmas. So it's with a difference, and obviously they get cookies, and parents get mulled wine, so it's really an experience for the family.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Well, I tell you, Sarah, I seriously cannot recommend Titanic Belfast highly enough. We had the best time, and anybody who's in Belfast should not miss out the opportunity of going there.
I would agree.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, Sarah.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me, Rita.
The Crypt interviews in association with Mayo Leisure Point Castle Bar.